The perfect season ends with an odd loss to the Angels, where the Cardinals pitchers gave up more walks than hits. This is Locked on Cardinals.
You are Locked on Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked on Cardinals, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification button so you don't miss any of the new episodes or any of the shorts that we put out there for you. Also available on TikTok and Instagram at Locked on Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans of baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So the Cardinals fall for the first time in 2025. Wah, wah, wah. And they lose to the Angels, which is not fun because the Angels are supposed to be one of the worst teams in baseball this year. Granted, a lot of people think the Cardinals are going to be one of the worst teams in baseball this year, but this one goes to extra innings. They fall to the Angels by a score of 5-4. Jojo Romero gets saddled with the loss despite not even allowing a hit. It was a very odd loss. It was a very odd loss for the guys who, I mean, when you look at, they didn't play bad. It's not like they did a whole bunch of bad stuff and just blew the game, but they were always like one big hit away, right? They were one big hit away this whole game. Could have broke things open a couple of different times, and it just never happened. It just never happened. The Angels, on the other side, managed just 4 hits in this game. 4! But they walk 5 times, with 3 of those walks happening before they go to extra innings, and all 3 of those guys came around to score. Then in the extra innings, the Cardinals walked 2. One of those was an intentional walk. And the first one came around to score as the 5th run on a sac fly by Mike Trout. So of the 5 walks, 4 of them ended up scoring and biting the Cardinals in the butt, right in the buttocks. And that run actually in the extra inning, there was the 5th run, shouldn't have really happened. Because on the play before that, Brendan Donovan, who was playing second base, fires home on a soft ground ball, and the runner was safe at the plate by a good margin, which kept the bases loaded with 1 out instead of getting the easy out at first base. That would make it 2 outs, and then the Mike Trout flyout would have ended the inning. But instead, it played what became the eventual winning run. And if you ask Brendan Donovan, like, what are you doing, man? He'd probably say that was a stupid play. Probably should have probably went first. You learn. Like I said, it was a weird game, man. It was a weird game. It felt like the Cardinals were in control for 95% of this thing. And then you look up and you're like, they lost? The Angels get 5 runs on 4 hits, but walk 5 times and win. Meanwhile, the Cardinals scored just 4 runs on 11 hits with 5 walks. They had dudes on base all night, and they lose. Doesn't add up. It doesn't add up, but it happened all the same. And it happened in front of what was an announced attendance of 21,206. Smallest crowd in the 20 seasons of Busch Stadium 3, other than, the stuff that went on when COVID took place, which nobody counts. But, yeah, very small crowd. A lot of people dressed up as seats tonight at Busch Stadium, which is a little disheartening, to be honest with you, considering how well they played over the weekend. Wasn't a big crowd on Sunday by any means. Wasn't a big crowd on Monday. I'm not expecting it to be a big crowd tomorrow on Tuesday or whenever you listen to this. The fans, winning will help this, but the fans are certainly saying, look, I'm not spending money. You're not spending money. I'm not spending money. So it is what it is. Things started off quick for the Birds offensively. Let's talk about the game instead of the people who didn't show up in the stands. But they started off offensively very, very quick. Lars Nootbaar scorched a leadoff home run to right field, second of the year. Newt has been a demon at the top of the order so far for this club. 2 for 3 again on Monday. 2 more walks as well. 2 runs scored. He's hitting .462. He's got an OBP of .632, which is 4th in the league so far. His 5 walks are also 4th in the league. He's been amazing. Easily the best hitter in the lineup so far this season. And there's been some good hitters in this lineup so far. There's been some bad ones, though, too, because unfortunately, the guy right behind Newt in the lineup is ice cold. Ice cold. And that man is Willson Contreras, who was 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts on Monday. Did have a sack bunt in the 9th inning, which, was very unselfish of him. You even saw when he went to the dugout after, everybody gave him a high five. Ali made it a point to walk over all the way down there and give him, hey, good job. Did it for the team. Contreras didn't look upset by any means. They were trying to bunt the guy over to get him into scoring position and win the game. It didn't work, but he got the bunt down, and, he did his job. But the Willson Contreras stat line is awful right now. He's 0 for 18 with 8 strikeouts to start the season. Just disgusting. The only other hitter that's as cold as he is Masyn Winn, who is now 0 for 14 with 7 Ks. Both of them came up in situations on Monday to do some damage, and neither of them were able to get anything done. The 15 Ks between the two guys, obviously, it's an issue. You don't like to see that, but the tough part about this stretch for these guys right now is that even when they are putting the bat on the ball, and sometimes they're stinging it. I've seen Contreras line out multiple times to the outfield, and when they do put good wood on the ball, it is going right at somebody. Like they're just in one of those stretches where they just cannot buy a hit, and it's rough. It happened to Masyn Winn on Monday. In the 8th inning, they had 2 on, 2 out, and he smokes one. It was like 108 off the bat. Smokes one down the line, and it goes right at the Angels' third baseman, Yoan Moncada, ends the inning. And you can just see the frustration in Masyn Winn. It's getting to him more than it is Contreras. Willie is a veteran. He's been through this stuff like this, dozens and dozens of times. Meanwhile, Masyn Winn, still a very young player, had a really bad spring. At least Willson Contreras was coming off a spring where he was hitting rockets all over the yard, and just now they're not falling. But Masyn Winn had a really rough spring, and now you get this tough start to the regular season, and you can tell that it's bugging the hell out of him. But it appears that, they're working on things. He's not down. He's just frustrated is what it is. He's not down. Apparently they've made an adjustment to like his pelvic region, and which was causing him to kind of swing upwards on the ball. And so they're working on that. Again, has hit a few balls very, very hard. Hit that one on the nose, and it's just right at somebody. Eventually, these will find holes. That's the game of baseball. It'll happen. They just got to keep swinging. They asked Ali, the media did after the game, of whether or not any thoughts of Nolan Gorman pinch hitting there for Masyn Winn, considering it was a righty on the hill at the end of the game. Ali said, thought about it, but, Masyn Winn's our guy. Masyn Winn's our shortstop. So I wanted to give him a chance to pull through. Didn't happen. Brendan Donovan hit a solo shot in the 2nd inning, making it 2-0 in this game. First career home run off a left-handed pitcher. All righty, Donnie. Nolan Arenado drove in the 3rd run with a 2-out clutch single in the 5th inning. Also, the base running right there was pretty got gunned trying to. So they had the runners go into 3rd. They threw it there, and then they threw it to 2nd. And Arenado, who was not fleet of foot, tried to stretch it, tried to do that little swim slide, didn't work. That kind of sucked because at the end of the inning, and they had Angel starter Tyler Anderson on the ropes at that point. He was really deep into his pitch count, and perhaps they would have either had to pull him there and go to the bullpen, or left him out there again, and maybe more damage happens. But ended an inning prematurely, which was a bit of a bummer. Cardinals, once again in this game, they took really good at bats. They weren't chasing that much, working the counts. Nothing about this game, when you go back and look at it, says the Cardinals should have been on the losing side of this. This is not a game that I believe that you should be hanging your head about by any means. Obviously, there's room for improvement. Nothing was perfect. I mean, going 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position, not ideal. Stranding 11 men on base is not ideal. But you had 4 guys. Luke Baker got his first start this year. Jordan Walker back in the lineup. Victor Scott II. All of them had 2 hits apiece. But like I said, they couldn't, as a team, come up with that knockout hit to really open things up. Angels came at them with 4 lefties on Monday, using all 3 of their lefties in the bullpen, which I didn't pay attention to how many pitches those guys threw, but I wonder how much they have left in the tank for the next 2 games. They had Anderson was the 4th guy who was the starter. You're going to see Kikuchi in the 3rd game. He's a lefty. I don't know. Perhaps that's some sort of Cardinals kryptonite, but the left-handers, the hitters that actually did fine. It was just the inability of the righties to get that big hit that kind of held the Cardinals up on Monday. Michaelis was good outside of the 2 walks, allowed just 2 hits in 5 1/3 innings. He punched out, I believe it was 3, left with the lead, but the bullpen couldn't hang on to it. 2-out walk by Ryan Fernandez came around to score to tie things up in the 7th inning, which is a real kick in the junk when that happens, when you're almost out of the inning and then you walk a guy and that's the dude that comes around to score. Phil Maton was good again. Chris Roycroft did a good job kind of cleaning things up for Michaelis in his last frame. Ryan Helsley was solid. It was just a weird game with a weird extra inning where it was just like dumb stuff was happening on the infield, like Arenado not being able to find the handle on the ball on a cold night in St. Louis. Tried to go to a possible play at third. Maybe he's safe, maybe he's out. It was weird. Donnie throwing home instead of first. It was weird. Cardinals come up short. Normally you play a game like this, you put up the amount of hits the Cardinals had, the amount of base runners you guys had on the bases. You play a pretty solid defensive game. Nothing like egregious mistakes, unless you're going to count the Donnie thing as a huge mistake. You only give up 4 hits, and normally you would win that game, but it didn't happen. Didn't happen on Monday. Cardinals and Angels will do it again on Tuesday night, and guess who's back to face the Cardinals? I cannot believe this. And I remember talking during the NL Central preview show, and Sam from Locked On Cubs even brings it up, and he's like, how happy are you about not having Kyle Hendricks in the division? And I'm like, doesn't matter, man. He went to the Angels. Angels are coming to Busch Stadium in the 2nd series of the year, and I guarantee you that they're going to start this dude. And guess what? Cardinal tormentor Kyle Hendricks will be on the mound on Tuesday on April Fool's Day, no less, against lefty Matthew Liberatore, who'll be making his first start of the season. Anxious to watch the game. Cardinals probably got a bad taste in their mouth about the loss on Monday. Anxious to see how they respond to the soft tossing right-hander Kyle Hendricks, who is 14-4 against them in his career. It's just mind-boggling that Kyle Hendricks just has this capability of shutting down the Cardinals as many times as he has. It's bizarre. Anyway, we're going to head down to the farm next to get you updated on some of the Cardinals' top prospects. AAA Memphis opened up their season over the weekend. Let you know how things shaped up for them. We'll do that next on Locked On Cardinals. March Madness, it is here. Not for much longer, but it's here. And FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from the possible buzzer beaters here in the Final Four to whoever is going to cut down the nets at the end of this whole thing. Final Four is set. All number ones. All number ones. You got Florida and Auburn in the first game on Saturday. Then Houston and Duke will be in game 2. And FanDuel is making it easy to win big on both of these games with spreads, totals, and game props. I've had Florida. I picked Florida from the get-go. I got them winning this thing. I had it since the start. So I'm kind of ride or die with what's going on with the Gators at the moment. But both of these games are set up to be some absolute classics because you've got the 4 best teams in the country, really, tipping off against each other in one way or another. Like, it's going to be 2 of the best teams in the finals. You've got 4 best teams in the Final Four. So it should be some really good basketball. Another great thing about the FanDuel app is how simple it is to use when you're placing bets on these games. As soon as you hit it and you win, you're going to get paid instantly. There's no waiting around, so you can enjoy your spoils as soon as possible. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. A lot of feedback during the game and a little bit after the game, actually. It doesn't seem like a lot of Cardinal fans are freaking out. Obviously, they're a little worried about Masyn Winn and Willson Contreras, but I don't think anybody's losing their minds over this particular loss. So that's good to see. At least everybody's kind of keeping a level head about this. Nobody's freaking out yet. And you should. And you should. Very early in the season, 3-0 start was a whole lot of fun. Maybe the Twins just suck because they got killed by the Chicago White Sox on Monday. So maybe the Twins are just terrible. I don't know. But so far, so good as far as like how the Cardinals are playing these games. Like, they very easily could be 4 now. Like, they should have won Monday. Like, they did almost everything right. Anywho, we got to know a lot of the Cardinals prospects during spring training. Some of them you saw at the major league level last year, guys like Michael McGreevy and Saggese, while others like Quinn Mathews or J.J. Weatherholt were in big league camp for the first time. So I thought we could give you an update on how some of these guys are doing so far since we last saw them. Now, the Memphis Redbirds began their minor league season this past week, and they were in Louisville. And they ended up losing 2 of 3 to the Bats, who are the AAA affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds. Friday night was their opener. Michael McGreevy got the start after just narrowly missing out on making the Cardinals opening day roster, not because he did something wrong, but just because it's a numbers game. And McGreevy will be certainly on speed dial if and when somebody is needed to be a starter at any point in the season. So instead of, sticking his butt down in the bullpen, but being on the opening day roster and kind of making things awkward, they were like, no, be a starter. Go to Memphis, be a starter, pitch every 5th day. We'll call you when we need you. Because eventually they will. It happens every year. But it was not a great season debut for McGreevy with Memphis, who got tagged for 4 runs on 6 hits, including 2 home runs by Will Benson and Rhys Hines. Hines was a 3-run blast. Obviously, both of those guys up with the Reds last year, so it's not like these are some rando AAA guys that no one's ever heard of. I mean, Will Benson's been a major league player for a couple of seasons now. Rhys Hines came up and lit the world on fire last year, so we know he's got pop. McGreevy also walked one. He only struck out 2 over 4 innings. Redbirds would fall in that game 9-4. Top catching prospect, number 4 overall prospect, according to MLB Pipeline for the Cardinals. Jimmy Crooks did go yard in that loss. Saturday, top pitching prospect Quinn Mathews on the bump. And Mathews, who was so impressive this spring, just like McGreevy. McGreevy was awesome this spring, but things just didn't click well for Quinn Mathews either against Louisville. Had a lot of control issues, last just 4 innings as well. He ends up walking 3, which is not a normal thing for Quinn Mathews. Also struck out just 1. Like, those are like reversed. That's not normally what happens when Quinn Mathews is on the mound. He allows 2 runs on 4 hits to take the L. Rodri Munoz, who also looked great this spring for the Cardinals, 2 relief innings. Struck out 5, allows just 1 hit, walks 1, but the Cardinals fall in that game by a score of 4-1. Should say, but the Redbirds lost. Did I say Cardinals there? But Memphis Redbirds. I'm going to screw that up a lot. Get used to it. Then on Sunday, it was Gordon Graceffo's turn to pitch, and we're all very familiar with Gordon. We got to see some of him at the major league level last year, and of course here in the spring. He also struggled in his first start, lasting just 2 1/3 innings. He allows 4 runs on 4 hits, including another home run off the bat of Rhys Hines. He walked 1 and struck out 5, but his pitch count was at almost 60 in that 3rd inning when he got pulled. Luckily for Memphis, their offense woke up in a big way during this game. They end up knocking off the Bats and avoiding the sweep with a 13-9 victory. Thomas Saggese, 2 for 5 with his first home run of the season, 108.4 off the bat, a missile shot to center field. He also had 2 runs scored. Matt Koperniak, who had a great spring, and unfortunately, again, part of this numbers crunch for the Cardinals, normally would have been a solid bench bat, but the Cardinals already got a guy by the name of Alec Burleson who can do what Matt Koperniak does, and that was a bummer from Koperniak. 2 for 6 in that game, an RBI, 2 runs scored. Jose Barrero, who made a solid impression in camp, was 3 for 5 with a solo shot. 111.6 off the bat for Barrero. Cesar Prieto smacks a 3-run shot in the first inning of this game. 2 for 5, 3 runs scored. So a lot of offense in that particular game for the Memphis Redbirds. We got a Riley O'Brien appearance who, constantly is dealing with injuries, but when he does take them out, he's usually pretty decent. Shutout inning, got a strikeout. Redbirds pick up their first win of the season. Double-A Springfield will not start their year until this upcoming weekend, but they've got a lot of names, obviously, that we want to keep tabs on throughout the season. Top prospect J.J. Weatherholt, former first-round pick Chase Davis is with them. Catching prospect Leonardo Bernal, Takoa Roby, Cooper Jerpy. Got to see them in the spring, and they were pretty impressive. So those guys are all at Double-A. One name that you'll notice that is missing from this grouping is pitcher Tink Hence, who has been placed on the 60-day IL due to a right rib cage strain. Not the news you were hoping for when it comes to the Cardinals' number 3 prospect, because for a couple of years now, injuries have been what's been holding back Tink Hence from really, for his potential to come to life. He had a good season last year, but the injuries caught up with him again. And it's something that the Cardinals have been kind of worried about. It's can he be a starter? Is he going to have to be a reliever? Because he can't stay out there on the diamond. He can't stay on the mound. From everything I've read about this injury, it's not like some huge concern. They just put him on 60-day ILs. That way they can take their time with them. They don't have to rush him or anything like that. That's the idea of it all. But, that not what you want to hear when it comes to one of your top prospects. Like I said, we're going to keep you updated on these guys throughout the season. We'll have some guys like Daniel Guerrero and more to stop on by and keep us up to date on what's going on with them so we don't lose track of what they're all up to. A few of them are likely going to play a role in things for the Cardinals, not only this season, but obviously in the future as well. So we're going to talk some MLB news next. There's been a lot of stuff going on. The Brewers got squashed again. Torpedo Bats, what the hell are these things? They're all the rage. And another pitcher cashes in big. We'll talk all about it all coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out our boys over at Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Dominic and Matthew, they're going to help you out, make your lineups the best they can possibly be. Your drafts are already in the book, so now it's all about who are the waiver pickups, who are the pitchers that are throwing twice this week, who are the hot hitters, who got the best matchups. All of that is what Dominic and Matthew are the best at. They're going to get all the information to you and hopefully help you win your league. So find Locked On Fantasy Baseball on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. So the Milwaukee Brewers obviously have been very, very good the last couple of years, won the NL Central the last couple of years, and 2025 has not started off the way they were hoping. They got clobbered in the Bronx, right? During opening weekend. The Yankees end up bopping 15 home runs against them in 3 games, 9 of them in game 2, when the Yankees put up 20 runs against the Brewers. And that's when we started to hear about these torpedo bats. I'm sure you've heard the phrase. Basically, if you're unfamiliar with it, the designers of this bat that don't even work for the Yankees anymore. This was he's like a physicist or something. I forget what the exact term was, but he designed these bats, and now he's working with the Marlins, I believe. But design these bats where they just basically move the barrel or the sweet spot. They just moved it down towards the label of the bat, so closer to the handle. Usually it's thin and it gets bigger all the way up to the barrel, and that's where it stops. Well, he just scooched it down a little bit is really what he did. And that's the idea, is that they were studying where their hitters were making contact with the ball more often, and they realized that they were doing it more towards the label. So they're like, well, let's just move the thickness of the bat down here, and then you'll be hitting the sweet spot more often, which is like, duh, makes perfect sense, right? The Yankees are making them famous, but these are bats that are being used around the league. People had them in spring training. Multiple teams have used them. And the bottom line is they are perfectly legal, according to MLB rules. Nobody's cheating. A lot of people have asked my opinion on this. They're like, what are you feeling about these torpedo bats? And I'm like, honestly, I can't believe it took people this long to start tinkering with the bat. Like, these guys have all these geniuses analyzing things all the time, and nobody ever thought about tinkering with the bat until now. It's just surprising to me that nobody thought of this sooner. And as long as it's illegal, and according to MLB it is, I got no issues with it whatsoever. I haven't noticed if any of the Cardinals hitters are using one. I didn't hear them bring it up yet. So we'll see if they ever decide to, give it a try, see if anybody's interested in it. But the guy that's really working out for right now has been Jazz Chisholm, who has been on fire to start this year. So, but they're not all using it. Like, Aaron Judge isn't using this torpedo bat. He's just Aaron freaking Judge. It's just awesome. The shocking thing is that the Brewers were all, upset about this whole thing. And then they just got pummeled again on Monday, losing to the Royals 11-1 in their home opener. The Brewers have now given up 47 runs on 48 hits and 17 home runs in their first 4 regular season games of the season. I'm not sure that anyone saw that kind of domination coming against the Brewers, but they're 0-4 to start the season. And they're going to be most famous for not only getting crushed, but also the video of this guy just peeing like in the on the concourse. And people are around. He's just got his wang out and he's just peeing. And it's the Brewers are down bad right now. It's a rough time to be in Milwaukee. But great news for the Cardinals and the rest of the NL Central, because the Brewers were expected to be very good again this year. And so far, they have not been. Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar, this was news, suspended 80 games for testing positive for HCG, which is a performance-enhancing substance that has been banned by MLB. He'll be out through June and is now ineligible for the postseason if the Braves were going to make it. They haven't won yet this year, I don't think. Last time I checked, they were getting clobbered by the Dodgers, who might win 130 games this year. Like, it's disgusting how good they are. Freddie Freeman slips in the shower, and it's no big deal. Like, he's out, ankle, slipped in the shower. Mookie Betts, he's got like some kind of stomach virus and loses a bunch of, no big deal. They just keep losing superstars who would be the best player on most teams. And it's just nothing phases them, dude. It's crazy. And finally, reports are that Garret Crochet and the Red Sox have agreed on a 6-year, $170 million extension. It is the largest contract signed by a pitcher with 4+ years of service time. Jacob deGrom was the previous record holder. I mean, the guy's been a starter for 1 year, and he cashes in like that, 6 years, 170. It's why the Cardinals need to be doing what they're doing and focusing on, their player development, where they're developing their own stars like this. Because if you have to go out and you got to make a trade, like the Red Sox did, where they gave up 4 prospects, and then you got to sign this guy, like, it's a lot to get your hands on one of these guys, which if he's already in your system, hello, Quinn Mathews, you don't have to do that. Eventually you're going to have to pay him, but at least you don't have to give up all that stuff at the same time. So I hope they get better at it real soon. They're trying. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. 3-1. Got to take down Kyle Hendricks, man. If this guy stymies us again, not going to be happy. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.